thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he was an arachnophobiac, and then they come and they're like, "Hey, we heard there was some noise over here," and the guy's like, "Spiders are everywhere." And they're like, "Yeah, I see a couple of them."
They're in the walls. They're on the walls. Ah!
What? Who arrested? Like, hey, unhand that spider. It's a life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Story number 3. Idaho man arrested for making love to a mountain goat.
True.
False story.
False story.
The guy did it here in Susquehanna.
Yeah, that is my false story for today. Although it does seem very true that it could possibly happen. Did not happen on any news story that I saw.
It happened in Susquehanna. I have stories.
This is called goat style. Excuse me, sir.
It's a little bit of dominatrix stuff because that goat must have been bad.
Bad.
Bad. Yeah. Screw it. That's a terrible joke.
That was horrible. I'm sorry, guys. Story number 4. Idaho man arrested for antagonizing local natives.
True story.
Very true story.
How did he antagonize the local natives?
No.
Worse than they've already been.
Apparently, when you get really drunk.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Go ahead and say something, Spark.
Go ahead, can you see it now?
1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians.
Let's scalp them.
It's a song. Not the last part, but...
Now, in one particular town in Idaho, they have signs everywhere where they tell you not to talk, discuss, or even antagonize local natives.
Yes, because they have weapons.
Because they have a lot of weapons. And guess what? You're on native soil. For the most part.
They don't listen to the federal government.
They listen nothing to the federal government.
Yeah, if you want to get scalped, if you make fun of them.
No, I'll go and give them baked goods, and I'll be accepted.
And apparently when you get really pissed drunk and you go and make fun of Indians, I guess they don't take it to it well.
I would hope not, yeah.
No.
Did they tie him to a stake and burn his feet?
Apparently, they just arrested him. I think it was for... I didn't write it down. I just said arrested for antagonizing. But,
like verbal assault.
yeah, verbal assault and harassment of some sort. But number 5, Idaho couple arrested for trying to send their child through the mail is a true story.
Oh, yeah. How many stamps did it take?
Show them the box. I already know where they sent the kid to also. Look at this, baby.
Our kid is going on a field trip this year to Lake Titicaca. Nicaragua.
I was going to say they might send him to the abortion clinic and say it didn't work, we want a refund.
No, this particular story took place quite a few years ago, but it was this happy couple tried to send their child to the next county over in a box, and they actually labeled the box with her name on it. When they investigated why when they investigated why the box was breathing heavily, they noticed that you cannot send children through the mail because they had a 50 pound weight limit, and she was 48 pounds.
How many package handlers did it have to go through before they figured out the package was breathing?
I don't know.
We'll never know.
Yeah. We'll never know.
This is why the basket and the knock at the door is the way to go.
Yeah.
The basket, you put the baby in the basket, you knock at the door, you run.
You do the dip and drive by. The DoorDash, yeah.
Yeah, like guy opens the door like, God damn it, another baby on the porch. Honey, what did I tell you making this front porch look so attractive? Now people feel like we have a good house in here. They keep dropping kids off. Last time we had 3 singing chipmunks, which made us millions of dollars, but that was the only time.
Yeah, it was apparently cheaper to send things through the mail than it was to actually drive there at that point in time.
The mail's always cheaper. I mean, than driving.
Yeah.
How can you send a stamp? How can you send something to Alaska, but the plane ticket costs like $600?
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, that's the way I'm going to travel anymore. I'm going to put myself in a box and take a vacation. It's on the postcard.
And then return to sender and then send it back.
This side up, fragile, and return to sender on the way back.
Have a note on the box. If you see the box, put some holes in the box.
Italia.
Because you can send animals back and forth. I understand that humans
Of course.
aren't live cattle, but I'm guessing if you wanted to do it the right way, you would send it kind of that way. Who's going to open your package and say, "Hey, that's not a chicken. That's a fucking human."
Yeah. But apparently, when you're sending children,
It's a no-no.
that's a hard pass. Hard pass.
It sounds like a human's in there.
Let's go with the next 5 stories. Let's go with the next 5 stories for Idaho man. Idaho man, woman, child, couple. This one actually goes into the Idaho man category. Starting out with number 1, Idaho man arrested for punching... poaching animals and killing 2 game wardens.
Ooh, that's something that happens a lot more in Kentucky than Idaho. But
it gets better.
Story number 2, Idaho couple arrested for animal neglect of 30 lions. 30.
Joe Exotic?
Bullshit.
Story number 3, Idaho man arrested for starting a wildfire while relieving himself.
I got a good picture for that one.
Story number 4, Idaho goats arrested for terrorizing locals in Snuggies.
I got a good story. I got a good picture
Yes.
for that one also.
They're arresting goats.
They arrested goats for terrorizing locals in Snuggies.
I think that's 2 false stories we got there.
Okay. Story number 5, Idaho woman arrested after crashing her car into local market because she thought that she saw Bigfoot in her rearview mirror.
Oh yeah, people see Bigfoot all the time. The hell out there.
Bigfoot is real.
Bigfoot's a big thing out there. Bigfoot is like meth in Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going false on the goats being arrested.
Okay.
They're all true. They're all
Also,
true.
the lions. 30 lions? Where the fuck
They're
are
all
these
true.
30 lions?
That girl?
I think they're all true. But that lion one, it's like, people have live animals here that they hold, like wildcats and all that fun stuff.
Some people's children.
Interesting.
Just get in the box.
Okay, but to have an endangered species such as a lion and 30 of them, you would have to have you would think you'd have to have a lot of money. And to kill them, I don't know, you would just assume.
They probably were selling their fur as like pelts and like garbs for women to wear.
And I always love hearing all of of your guys' backstories to these particular. Like I have the backstories for all of these stories, and we'll start at story number 1. Story number 1: Idaho man arrested for poaching animals and killing 2 game wardens is a true story.
Oh yeah.
Now, this particular person was he was a ne'er-do-well. He lived out in the woods.
That picture also. That picture's pretty funny.
Yeah, he lived out in the woods, and the backstory for him was that he was caught, apparently, after he killed the 2 game wardens for poaching animals. He then escaped. He lived out on the land for a couple years, and then they recaught him several years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you go after him?
Show him the picture. Show him the picture. I best described it in the picture.
Since I can't hunt the spotted owl, I'll take you guys out. Yeah, crazy story. Like, this guy was living out on the land, man. He was living out in a cottage out in the woods, and apparently he was trying to shoot animals for food, and he was poaching out of season.
I really don't see anything wrong with him doing that, though.
I don't, but game wardens in Idaho happen to.
Yeah.
And apparently they gave him several warnings. 2 game wardens came to his house. He shot them both.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then went out on the run for like a couple years. And this guy who's very apt at evading people,
and living in the outdoors.
Like, he was out there for years by himself. He was caught.
Look at the pictures.
He was caught. Then he escaped prison, only to evade them again, where he was recaught several years later.
You're trying to catch Rambo at that point.
Yes. Which is crazy. Like, I find it crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Story number 2.
Too much fun looking at my pictures.
Story number 2. Idaho couple arrested for animal neglect of 30 lions. True story.
Get out of
Show me
here, dude.
pictures.
Yes.
I got this one figured out.
I think I haven't figured out
Huge.
if it was a man or a woman or
Huge,
two men.
massive backstory behind this. Huge.
Can you see the paper?
There you go. Carol Baskins, come take our lions and see what happens. This place was apparently called Ligertown. Ligertown.
Okay, so there was,
It was a makeshift cat sanctuary made of like cardboard boxes and chicken wire fences.
hysterical.
Yeah.
You make that girl cry. You better not say too much more.
Apparently, some of the animals escaped from the place called Ligertown. They closed down the town. They had to close the entire town, and unfortunately, they killed 15 cats.
But I mean, they saved people, so
And I get that. The cops actually came out on TV and said they cited a lack of items such as personnel to do it humanely, so they used bullets instead.
Oh my god.
Yes, they didn't have any of the necessary materials, like tranquilizer darts.
You know what? They probably recruited the man who was poaching. like the Suicide Squad, like they go into his jail cell, like, sir, 30 lions just got out. We need someone that can hunt.
Joel got it. Where is he?
Yeah.
Him and Carol Baskins.
Guy's probably like rubbing his jail cell like, I've never killed a lion. Not sure we can try.
The crazy story behind this is that they actually created a lion cult called the Ligertown Church of the Guardian Alien.
You know what? Of course they did. Of course.
being back.
Why not? They're like, you know, the creator had to have said to himself, I'm not making enough money with just people paying $5 admission here.
Yeah.
Admission to the little lion park we got here. Maybe if we make him God, huh? Maybe. No. Bear with me.
Clearly they made a cult.
If they got Kanye to show up, they could have probably easily gotten 10.
That could have been right in there. Siegfried and Roy, somebody, you know?
Roy's dead now, so...
Craziness. Cult, it's called the Lion Cult Ligertown Church of the Guardian Alien.
Also known as the first step you realize that your teenager takes when he doesn't like his parents.
Story number 3. Idaho man arrested for starting a wildfire while relieving himself is a very true story.
Yeah.
From that picture.
He was probably smoking the weed. And
No, you would think. Oh God, my pee started a grass fire. That's when you know it burns.
That's some gonorrhea right there. Gone too far.
Funny story. It's not actually how you would think you would start a fire for a wildfire. Apparently, he was taking a dump of doodles.
Yeah.
Fertilizer's explosive.
And no. And instead of burying or bagging his toilet paper, he set it on fire, and the fire got out of control. The fire turned into a brush fire, and the brush fire turned into a wildfire.
Shit right now.
I wasn't gonna drop poop, but I figured that's how it was. You know, he burned it.
You've done that.
Missed opportunity there, Sparky. The only probably one of the very few times you could draw somebody taking a dump and stick figures on a paper and be completely accurate on the idea.
That's true.